Melink Solar is hosting the European American Chamber of Commerce. We're hosting an event called Sustain 23, but it's really about how to create a strategic competitive advantage for your companies using sustainability values and best practices.
Businesses should invest in sustainability for multiple reasons. One being from a financial perspective. Investing in sustainability, helps your bottom line, right? It helps reduce costs. If those companies are wanting to be around in the long term, then you have to think holistically.
Energy efficiency can be a very big portion of your decarbonization strategies and your goals, and it's one of the cheapest, most effective ways to reduce your carbon footprint. Oftentimes, energy is looked at as this is the cost of operations, this is just what we have to pay, your bills go up, so does your cost. So as managing energy efficiency from a decarbonization strategy, it also helps to impact the bottom line. So energy you're spending, money you're spending on that energy, and the diversification of that energy and how carbon rich that may be.
When you're first starting, is just take an assessment of where you're at, right? So as a CEO of a business, what are your customers asking you? What are your employers asking you? What do you see in your market? And then say, okay, now you determined what that is. Where are we? Where is my business, right? How do we measure up to what's going on? And then you have to be reasonable. So once you take that first assessment, you set yourself a plan, you prioritize. The common saying is do the low-hanging fruit first.
Then we bought the array from Melink 7 years ago. It's already been paid off. Huge financial savings. Everyone's happy. And I'll say that the energy savings and the financial impact has been better than what was forecasted, because all those forecasts are conservative. So we have 12 years of proof here, right? Then in Cincinnati, you can pull this off, right?
Well, I think the number one thing that Melink can do to help organizations when it comes to ESG and sustainability is on-site solar arrays, which will, when they invest in on-site solar, it's going to increase their profits, make them more sustainable. They're going to be protected from the volatile prices, the volatility of typical utility grid prices, and they're going to get a lower cost, which is going to be fixed, for 30 years.
Now we have science-based targets in the U.S. If you're going to do business with the U.S. federal government, starting next year in our space, you have to have approved science-based targets. That's why the solar array that we're building in Lexington, the one we now have in the Philippines, the other ways we're looking at getting renewable energy is so extremely important. We have hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue at risk if we don't do this. For us, it's that easy. So you see this to us though, in Kentucky, this is a big deal. It's probably the first or the second largest private array in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We have got support from the state government, we've got support from local government, our customers and consumers, everybody is very interested in this. It's a big deal, and we are not selling this power to anybody. This is going straight into our buildings. Much like Melink has done here, our goal is to get our facilities in Lexington as efficient and off the grid as we can.
Having started this journey actually closer to 20 years ago, I think we're seen as pioneers and leaders in this area, but increasingly we're seeing that other companies are not only following our lead, but are becoming leaders themselves.
If you look at how your build, there's kind of three major components of what goes into a utility bill. There's generation charges, so that's the charge that you're paying to the power plant to burn coal or natural gas to generate that electricity. And then there's transmission lines that you have to pay to maintain, and how many kilowatt hours that you transport across transmission lines and distribution lines, right? And so if you install a solar array behind the meter at your facility, you are going to save all of those charges there.
You've got to be looking 5, 10, 15 years down the road. This is a new mindset I think that needs to happen in corporate America, and the zoo is a good example of that, where all those investments we made 15 years ago, we are now reaping the benefits of all those things, which then spurs the next investment and the next investment.
What's interesting, this is 1.6 megs, this is like 2.8. Kind of shows you the square foot intensity improvement in the last 12 years. So we will be putting this in, it'll be on by next April. And when this is on, we'll be close to 60% of our power comes from our parking lots.
It's about maintaining and managing your costs. It's really about being able to know what your budget is year in and year out, right? When you're able to say, hey, I don't have to worry about the fluctuation in price of gasoline to have to explain why your costs are up or costs are down, that really allows you to take control of your business and to your key stakeholders or shareholders of your business. That's really the first thing that attracts it to me as an operations leader. I want to know I have full control of my budget, and sustainability really helps me do that.
Majority of our companies are based in Europe, and the cost of fossil fuels is going through the roof. And so that really drove our owner and our CEO to go, we need to do something different. They committed to an investment, but I got a background in Six Sigma, black belt, all that stuff. About 95% of your improvement projects fail in sustainability. And a lot of that is because it fails one rule. It's not done at the lowest possible level, right? It's not done by those that are doing the work, managing the facilities. It's done by those that are more sitting in the boardrooms. And so that's a key piece to our journey, and why I'm convinced we've gone fast, and why we're already making good progress and traction in this investment.
It's not only good from a cost perspective, but also from a brand perspective as well. So more and more people are resonating with companies who have a plan for addressing climate change and have those sustainability initiatives in place to help speed along that process for us to get into a better place than where we are today.
What does the future look like? Future is very similar to the current. The future is, this is going to get more involved. It's going to be more regulated. You're going to have to have truth behind any claim that you make. So if somebody asks you, what are your climate reduction action goals? And you just spout off, we're going to be carbon neutral, net zero, carbon zero by 2035. Well, that used to be all you needed to say. Guess what you have to say now and in the future? Oh yeah? How are you going to get there? And then show the details. Show how you're going to get there. Old saying is proof's in the pudding, right? So the proof is going to be in the pudding. We're going to have to prove that what we're doing is real. That's the future that we're going into.
So if I could boil down my message to anyone not attending this conference, it would be that we can transition to a clean energy economy more easily than most people are thinking. We don't have to burn coal, oil, or natural gas to live, work, and play in the 21st century. The technologies are available, from wind power to solar power, battery storage, electric cars, heat pumps. This building and my other building and my home and my car are all embodiments of the way that we can live without being dependent on fossil fuels. This is not only proven, but it's practical and profitable.
One of the things about sustainability that John talked about is running a profitable, sustainable business, right? And so it's hard to be sustainable when you can't predict your own cost, and it can change that much from month to month and year to year. So again, one of the key reasons that you would invest in a solar array today, or a lot of reasons that other people are, is due to rising costs and the volatility. The second is government incentives.
By the way, when our contract expires next year with Dynegy, and our rate goes from 4.2 cents to probably 6 or 7 or 8 cents, this thing's going to pencil like crazy, right? So it was an easy sell to our board.
Action begets action. Action begets knowledge and confidence. And when you get knowledge and confidence, you take that next step, and then next step, and then next step. And I've been on a 20-year journey, but I know in hindsight that can all be compressed into a 2, 3, 5-year journey.
33,200 tons of atmospheric CO2. One small solar array on a building is equivalent to planting 500,000 trees from a carbon perspective. That's pretty impressive.
day was about learning how to become more sustainable. What are the options out there? How do you break through that initial feeling of what's my first steps and where can I go once I've taken those first steps?
Because environmental issue is a moral issue. People suffer when the environment suffers, period. And as businesses, especially in America, we have a direct and significant impact on that. So it's on us morally to have a significant investment and meaningful and measurable impact on sustainability.